नमस्कार, सलाम, सत श्री अकाल, याली मदद, वेरी गुड इवनिंग टू कैलगरी। आप सबका स्वागत है हमारे प्रोग्राम कैलगरी फोकस में। ये प्रोग्राम आप देखते हैं हमारे अपने फेवरेट टीवी चैनल पंजाबी नेशनल पर। मैं आपका होस्ट, आपका दोस्त अमित बरार, आप सबका स्वागत करता हूं अपने इस प्रोग्राम में। आशा करता हूं आपका लास्ट वीक बहुत अच्छा गया होगा, खुशियों से भरा गया होगा, सेहत से भरा गया होगा, और आने वाले वीक के लिए भी हमारे सारी टीम की तरफ से यही प्रार्थना है आप सबके लिए। कैलगरी का मौसम चेंज हो रहा है, लेकिन प्लीज़ अपना आप ध्यान रखें। कोविड अभी भी है, कुछ रिस्ट्रिक्शंस हट गई हैं, लेकिन स्टिल अगर आप चाहें तो अपना आप मास्क या अपने सैनिटाइज़र का यूज़ कर सकते हैं। इट्स वेरी हेल्पफुल। हर साल की तरह सिटी ऑफ कैलगरी एक प्रोग्राम लेके आता है जिसको कहते हैं स्ट्रीट क्लीनिंग, और उस स्ट्रीट क्लीनिंग में जितनी भी कैलगरी की रोड्स हैं उनको साफ़ किया जाता है। जितनी भी गंदगी, डिब्री जो विंटर्स में वहाँ पर इकट्ठी हो जाती है उसको साफ़ किया जाता है। उसको किस तरह से किया जाता है, क्या प्रोसेस है एंड हाउ इट इज़ डन, उसकी इन्फॉर्मेशन देने के लिए आज हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं मिस्टर ट्रॉय मक्लाउड, जो कि डायरेक्टर हैं सिटी ऑफ कैलगरी रोड्स के। आइए मिलकर स्वागत करते हैं और जानते हैं कि ये क्या प्रोसेस है और क्या इसके अंदर होगा। सर, वेलकम टू द शो।
Thank you.
सर, to start with, as always, you are here with a lot of information for us and for the community, and that's very important for us because our message goes directly to the people and they are aware what will be happening or what will be going on in a couple of months under this program of street sweeping. So if you can just explain in few words what exactly is street sweeping process, sir.
Sure. So the City of Calgary over the winter months puts material down with its plows and makes the road safe over winter. During the springtime, we then go out and we clean up all the debris from the roadways and pathways so that our system can be safe for active modes such as cycling and walking, as well as anybody that's using the street. There's over 41 million kilograms of material that we pick up, and we do it with a team of equipment that we send out through most of the spring, so starting in April going right through till June. We have a water truck that goes out and makes sure dust is down for the sweepers that follow. Those sweepers then take that material, put it into tandem vehicles, and that tandem then goes to our depots where we recycle the material, and then any waste product then goes to the landfill.
That's amazing, sir. So the material which you pick up, that is actually put on the road during winters, right?
That's right. So we, especially in cold temperatures, salt doesn't function very well, so we have to put down material to keep the friction on the roadways so that we can stop and be safe on the roadways. Again, when that material then melts, we have the debris left behind that we sweep up during spring cleanup.
Sir, sorry to ask you this because it's different from the subject what we are talking now, but during winters in other parts of Canada, the salt is used in a very effective way, in a very big way, especially in Ontario. There are very less of these pebbles or this kind of material which is put on the street because salt, it melts these ice pretty quick. So why not in Calgary? What is the reason?
So we do use salt in Calgary. Only for temperatures from 0 to about minus 13 degrees is salt active. After that, it's too cold, and the salt doesn't have any impact on the snow and ice. And so we have to do material, a gravel product that we use to be able to provide that friction for vehicles so they can get traction and move and stop. And so once it gets below minus 13, we switch to a different material we call pickle, which is a mix, has some salt in it just so that it doesn't freeze in the tandem. And then we can spread it on the roadway, and that material is used for a large part of the winter. But if we get a warm winter, we wouldn't use any material. We would use primarily salt if we had anything higher than minus 13 degrees.
So that policy is everywhere in Canada or just Calgary?
So
like this, the pickle system?
Yeah, most jurisdictions use a variety of material based on the temperature and the conditions. So if you're seeing temperatures drop and get into the minus 20s, you have to switch material away from salt and you have to use other products.
Don't you think sometimes like this particular pebbles are harmful for the vehicles? Like, you know, we get a lot of chip on the windscreen. If that pebbles are not there, it can be prevented, or it is needed, especially in winters.
Yeah, so we run all that material through screens, and so we have a certain size that we need to be able to create that traction in the ice and snow.
Right.
So we have that set to a certain size, and then when we drop that material, that's applied to in cold temperatures. But once it warms up, that material is often spread off the travel lanes, and then we come and pick it up in the spring with our street sweepers.
Why I ask this, sir, because to be very honest, a lot of people are naive. They don't know exactly that what is the science or what is the reason behind a particular type of material which is used.
Right.
When we go to different provinces like Ontario, or we are in Manitoba or other places, Saskatoon, where the winters are quite harsh, and the kind of treatment the roads are doing over there, then we start comparing, what is there and happening, what is here going on, why the city roads don't do that stuff in Calgary. So I think this information and this knowledge will help them to reconstruct everything, that why this is not needed, or what are the advantages also of doing certain things.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that information, sir.
You're welcome.
So now moving further, sir, talking about the street cleaning. So you said it is done to primarily clean the debris which is left during the winters. Now, how you plan it, like how you start and how you end, if you can give us a little bit about the program.
Great. Yeah, so what we do is we have over 16,000 lane kilometers that we sweep every spring. And we start off with our major roadways, because typically those roadways don't have parking, and we work on those roads initially. They're the higher volume roads. Then we set a schedule for all the residential communities, and we set a date just for your house specifically, so that you know when we'll be coming. So you can look at on the web at calgary.ca/sweep. We set those routes up so that you know exactly the day that you'll be getting street sweeping. You can get a text or an email alert from us as well if you want to be reminded. And those routes are set ahead of time. If the weather changes and we get snow or something, we'll move your scheduled date to the end of June and come back. And that way you know exactly the day that you're going to have your road swept. But it's basically splitting the city up into a number of routes, and our crews go out with a water truck with the sweepers and then tandems and haul the material away for the entire spring cleanup season.
And how many days it takes, because we're talking about huge area, right? 16,000 kilometers. So how you plan it? Like like in winters, you say that we start with major routes like the Deerfort or Stony. They are priority 1 routes. So for street cleaning, do you have any priority, or you just randomly start, or the person who makes a route, they just start randomly?
So we do have a plan for how we address our spring cleanup program. And we start with our major routes such as Crowchild Trail, Glenmore Trail, and any bikeways. So anywhere you have designated bike lanes, we get those swept first. And then we set a schedule for the communities, because we only have a limited number of sweepers and tandem trucks that we can use on the road system. And so we set those number of days. And it takes us about 2.5 months approximately to get the whole city swept.
Wow. Yeah. And you guys do this on weekends also, or just Monday to Friday?
So we do have weekend operations, but for residents, for local residential areas, we don't sweep on the weekends. That's primarily when people are home, and so we avoid doing weekend work in residential areas, but we work 24/7 on our road system for any needs that we have when it comes to sweeping up debris or any issues.
अमेजिंग। हम बात कर रहे हैं मिस्टर ट्रॉय मैक्लाउड से, जो कि डायरेक्टर है सिटी ऑफ रोड्स कैलगरी के, और वो हमें बता रहे हैं आज कि किस तरह से स्ट्रीट स्वीपिंग का प्रोसेस कैलगरी में होता है और क्या क्या डिफरेंट चीज़ें हमें देखने को मिलेंगी इस बार, उसके बारे में हम लोग उनसे बातचीत करेंगे। एक छोटा सा ब्रेक, और ब्रेक के बाद हम लोग हाजिर होते हैं। देखते रहिए कैलगरी फोकस ओनली ऑन पंजाबी नेशनल टेलीविज़न पर। वेलकम बैक, एक बार फिर से स्वागत हमारे प्रोग्राम कैलगरी फोकस में। ये प्रोग्राम आप देखते हैं हमारे फेवरेट पंजाबी नेशनल टेलीविज़न पर। आज हमारे साथ मिस्टर ट्रॉय मैक्लाउड जुड़े हुए हैं, जो हमें बता रहे हैं स्ट्रीट स्वीपिंग के बारे में। सर, टू मूव फॉरवर्ड, you said there are 3 trucks which are the sweepers, and then there is a truck which goes ahead to put water. So what is the process like? Why the water is needed, and why the 3 trucks are needed to clean that particular area?
That's right. So we send a water truck out first just to make sure that the dust is has water surface on it, so that that doesn't go into the air and people don't have to breathe that dust and those particulates, as our sweepers then move that debris into the sweeper and gets dumped into a truck, and that truck hauls away the material. But the important part is to make sure that that road is wet down first. One, it makes it easier for our sweepers to pick up, but it also reduces the particulates in the air that are created through the sweeping process.
That's amazing, sir. Now, if we take a scenario, the sweepers are coming, and to clean one street, is there approximate timings you set so that you can organize everything, or the sweepers can take as much time they want?
So we set a schedule that they can sweep enough kilometers of road in a day for a crew.
Right.
And so it's quite a few kilometers, roughly 50 kilometers in a day that a crew can take on. And so we need about 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We set that window for cars to be moved off the road. We can come any time between those hours, but it doesn't take us long. Like, we'll only be in your community for an hour or so, so it doesn't take that long for us. Once we're fully out of your area, you can go back and park on the street. But don't just go back as soon as one sweeper goes by, because we have a number of sweepers that come through to just make sure everything's taken off the road. The first pass, we get most of the material, but we need to have a couple of sweepers to make sure we pick up all the debris.
Amazing, sir.
Yep.
Let's talk about from the perspective of the customer, sir, the residents, right?
Right.
Now, there are a lot of complaints which we hear which says that there were not enough signages, or the city did not inform us much, they never gave us much notice. So what is that process? How the city sets up giving notices and putting up the signs? Like, how much time before you put up the signs and start giving notices?
So what you'll see in your neighborhood is you'll see signs come up a few days in advance of us sweeping, and it says the date that we're in your neighborhood.
Right.
The way to know for sure what date we're on is you can look up on calgary.ca/sweep, and it'll tell you the exact date that we would be coming in front of your home.
Right.
And then you can also get an alert on your phone as well through email. You can get an alert to find out when you're getting that sweeping going on. So the signs are in place a number of days in advance. It says the date, and then you can also find out or call 311 if you're unsure, and they can also advise you of what date. We try to schedule it away from the times where your black bin or green and blue bin is out, but there may be times where both are happening on the same day, and we just ask you to keep that blue bin or black bin or green bin on the sidewalk if you're getting swept that day, just so our sweepers can come right through and sweep it up.
Yeah, this is more important, sir, because there has been a clash in previous times, and we have heard people saying that, okay, it was my blue bin or black bin day also, and the sweeper came, where can I keep the that stuff, like that box, because the street sweepers will be coming, and the city will ticket me or fine me to keeping those bins on the sidewalk. So do we take care of that on those days the city does not go out to give the tickets on those bases?
Yeah, the city won't give you a ticket if your blue bin or black bin's on the street. We just ask to help us out if you could keep it out of the way, but you won't get a ticket for doing that. But if your car is left on the street, unfortunately you may get a ticket if you leave your car on the street. So all we're asking for is for one day for you to have your vehicle off the road so we can sweep it.
That's the key message, sir. एक दिन पूरे कैलगरी वासियों को यही संदेश कि एक दिन अपनी गाड़ियों का आप स्ट्रीट से दूर रखें, हटाकर रखें, कहीं और पार्क करें, क्योंकि उस दिन कैलगरी की जो टीम है सिटी रोड्स की, वो आकर आपकी स्ट्रीट को साफ़ करती है. बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है स्ट्रीट को साफ़ करना. देयर आर पीपल वॉकिंग, देयर आर किड्स हु आर बाइकिंग, एंड दोज पेबल्स कैन बी वेरी हार्मफुल टू देम. फिसल सकती है बाइक, स्लिप हो सकती है, बुज़ुर्ग लोग गिर सकते हैं. तो यही प्रार्थना है आपके लिए कि प्लीज़ जब भी आपको पता चले कि आपकी कम्युनिटी में स्ट्रीट क्लीनिंग होने वाली है, तो प्लीज़ अपनी गाड़ी को उस दिन स्ट्रीट पे ना पार्क करें. लॉट ऑफ पीपल हैव दिस कंप्लेन दैट आई डोंट हैव एनी प्लेस टू पार्क, आई डोंट हैव इनफ स्पेस इन माई कम्युनिटी. एंड दिस क्वेश्चन comes a lot, sir, that the city plans the area, like for example, I give you an example, sir, Skyview, Redstone, Cornerstone, these are new communities,
right,
which are together.
Yeah.
Now if in every area on the same day the street cleaning is happening, where to park the car? So this is the major concern and the request from the people, that if the city can see that at least on one day if they are doing Cornerstone, so that people can park their car in other side of the road. If all the three areas which are adjacent and there are huge number of people living over there. How and where they will park the cars, sir?
Yes, there's a number of options for you. One is to use your back lane, because typically they're gravel lanes and not swept as part of the sweeping program. Just make sure you're not blocking somebody's driveway when you do park in the alley. The other thing you can do is go to one community over and take transit back to your property if you want, or park at a nearby transit area and take transit back to your home for the day. Those are some options. Typically there's within 500-600 meters you can find an area that doesn't have sweeping for that day and just park in a neighborhood community. Or if you have a neighbor who has a driveway and is okay with you parking, just make arrangement with your neighbor to park on their driveway for the day is another option.
But you will assure us, sir, that it is not possible that if there are three areas which are adjacent and together, that the street cleaning will be done on the same day. It will be on different days, right?
Yeah, typically there's enough space between communities, so you'd have to be the community over and either take transit or walk back to your area, and then subsequently they can park in your area on the day that they're having sweeping. So it's a community arranged thing when it comes to finding alternate parking. But Calgary Transit's a good option as well. You can park at a nearby transit area and then use transit for that day.
For sure, sir. Any new things coming up from the city during this timings? Because now COVID is residing and people are coming back to normal life. So last 2 years we've been blaming everything on COVID, So now I think that part is getting over. So any new things or programs or new, rather I can say things rather, which is city is introducing during this street sweeping?
So I think one of the things we're doing this year is to try and tighten up the enforcement of when our actual sweeping activity is with the enforcement activity, so that they're as close together as possible, rather than having enforcement early in the day and then our sweeping activity later in the day. We're trying to have that activity as close as possible. The other is we have some new equipment for pathways. We're trying out some new sweepers that are small.
Wow.
So we can go do the pathways relatively quickly and get those facilities up and running. We have over 1,000 kilometers of pathway in our city, so we need to make sure they're safe and ready for summer. And use that way. And then the other thing is just you are allowed, if you want, to sweep your own street if you want it clean before our day of coming. You can do that, double bag it and put it in the black bin, and you can have your area cleaned right away, or you can have the city do it as well.
Amazing. आप सुन रहे हैं ये इन्फॉर्मेशन मिस्टर ट्रॉय मैक्लाउड से, जो कि डायरेक्टर हैं सिटी रोड्स के। अगर आपको कोई भी और इन्फॉर्मेशन चाहिए तो आप वेबसाइट पे जा सकते हैं calgary.ca/sweep और वहाँ पर साइन अप कर सकते हैं, अपना एड्रेस डाल सकते हैं जैसे मिस्टर ट्रॉय ने कहा, और आपको सारी नोटिफिकेशंस मिल जाएंगी। प्लस आपको ये पता चलेगा किस दिन आपकी एरिया में, आपके घर के आसपास स्ट्रीट क्लीनिंग होने वाली है। एक छोटा सा ब्रेक, और ब्रेक के बाद हम लोग अपनी बातचीत जारी रखेंगे। देखते रहिए प्रोग्राम कैलगरी फोकस, ओनली ऑन पंजाबी नेशनल टेलीविजन पर। वेलकम बैक, एक बार फिर से स्वागत हमारे प्रोग्राम कैलगरी फोकस में। ट्रॉय सर, this is the time when we talk about a little bit of enforcement and how people can get less tickets. As people say that it was street cleaning day and I had cars and I could not go out, or there was some reason. Can they park the cars on their green grass, what is in the front of their house, or no? You have any idea about that?
So it's not permitted under the bylaw to park your vehicle where it isn't designated to be parked, and so we recommend against it. We recommend finding a designated parking area, whether it's in another community, at a transit station, and take transit back to your place. It's one day that we're looking for having that street space clear. But once the street sweepers have gone by, you can go back in. The enforcement is only in advance of the sweepers. It's not once the sweepers have been through completely. So that's an option as well. So it may not be the whole day that you have to have your vehicle off the street, but do look for alternate parking ahead of time. We'll set the date well in advance, so you know the day that we're coming by, and you can make parking arrangements for that day. One thing we recommend is if you need service on your vehicle, that might be a good day to get your service done on your car.
Absolutely, sir, absolutely. Because that's a very good, bright idea, sir. That day your vehicle is in the workshop and you don't have a place, worry about to place to park, right, sir?
Yeah.
That's amazing. So can you again repeat the website for the city and where exactly and what other services we can get from that particular website?
Sure. So the best place to go for information about street sweeping is calgary.ca/sweep, and there you can find all the information you need about our street sweeping program. One thing we recommend doing is punching in your address, and you'll find out the date that we'll have for you to have your road swept. That will give you all the information you need to have your vehicle clear of the roadway for that day from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. After that, you can have your vehicle right back to where it was. You can get those text alerts. You can also call 311 if you wanted to talk to someone in person, if you had questions specifically about street sweeping or anything about the enforcement activity that's associated with it. But again, calgary.ca/sweep is the best place to go.
Thank you so much, sir. And once again, we are very grateful to you for coming here and again giving your valuable time to the show and giving this valuable information to the community, because I think that is very much needed, especially there are a lot of new students and new immigrants keep on coming, and even the new areas are developing, and people don't know exactly what's going to happen. So I think this information will benefit a lot of people, sir.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure to see you again.
थैंक यू सो मच सर. तो ये थे मिस्टर ट्रॉय मैक्लाउड, जो कि डायरेक्टर हैं सिटी ऑफ रोड्स के, और उन्होंने आपको इन्फॉर्मेशन दी. सो एक दिन, वन डे, द सिटी ऑफ कैलगरी नीड्स फ्रॉम यू टू कीप योर व्हीकल्स अवे फ्रॉम द स्ट्रीट्स, ताकि वो उस स्ट्रीट को साफ कर सकें और वो जो डिब्री है उसको हटा सकें. अगेन मैं यही कहना चाहूँगा, हर टॉक शो का मतलब सिर्फ बहस नहीं, न्यूज़ हंगामा नहीं, कोई ब्रेकिंग न्यूज़ नहीं. ये शो है आपके मुद्दे का, आपके जज्बात के साथ साथ आपके भरोसे का, क्योंकि आपका भरोसा हमारी जिम्मेदारी है, उम्मीद आपकी, कोशिश हमारी है. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर वॉचिंग कैलगरी फोकस ओनली ऑन पंजाबी नेशनल टेलीविजन. स्वस्थ रहें, मस्त रहें, खुश रहें. नेक्स्ट वीक आपसे दोबारा मुलाकात होगी एक नए गेस्ट के साथ. तब तक टेक केयर.